All right, gather round the campfire, children, because today we're diving into the Fallout game that Bethesda pretends doesn't exist. No, that's not Fallout 76. That's the one they acknowledge, whether you like it or not. I'm talking about Van Buren, the original Fallout 3 that Black Isle Studios was building before the universe said, hey, what if we just didn't do that? Don't do any of that. This is the story of a game that was ambitious, weird, ahead of its time, and then canceled so hard it became a ghost that still haunts RPG fans today. Now, let's jump in before Todd Howard just appears behind me and whispers, "It just works." It's like the equivalent of I see dead people. Like, comment, subscribe, let's get into it. Before Bethesda took Fallout and turned it into a first-person please don't crash simulator, the series was a classic isometric CRPG. Fallout 1 and 2 were dark, they were funny, brutally sarcastic, and written by people who clearly had a beef with society. Basically, they were perfect. Black Isle Studios, the team behind these games, was cooking up the next big entry. And they weren't thinking small. They were thinking, let's make the most ambitious RPG ever created, which historically is the exact moment when a studio's bank account starts sweating. Van Buren wasn't just Fallout 3 but older, it was a completely different version. The game opened with you in a prison because nothing says Fallout like waking up in a place you definitely don't want to be. You'd escape, explore a massive world map, and make choices that actually mattered. Not the, +5 karma because you decided to pet a dog mattered. I mean, real consequences. The design doc shows branching storylines, faction politics, a huge map, early 3D engine, and a tone that was way closer to Fallout 1 and 2. It was Fallout with teeth. And then Interplay happened. Interplay in the early 2000s was like watching a Jenga tower where every block is labeled financial mistake. They were losing money, losing staff, losing the ability to pretend everything was fine. Black Isle was working on Van Buren while the company was basically speedrunning bankruptcy. Developers were building this massive RPG while also wondering if the lights would still be on the next week. A spoiler alert, no, they weren't. The electricity was shut off. In 2003, Interplay pulled the plug. Van Buren was canceled mid-development. Imagine spending years building this dream project, only for a company to say, hey, so we're gonna stop paying you. And also the game is dead. Anyways, Merry Christmas. Yeah, that's coming up. You're getting fired around Christmas time. Merry Christmas and Happy New Year. No bonuses. The team was devastated. Fans were devastated. Well, fans that actually knew about it. And the game instantly became retro gaming mythology. But here's the twist. Van Buren wasn't vaporware. It was real. A tech demo leaked. Design docs leaked. And people played it. It existed just enough to hurt. Now, while Interplay was collapsing like old people in the sun, Bethesda swooped in and bought the Fallout IP. And look, Bethesda, they made a great Fallout 3, but it was in a completely different direction. Van Buren was isometric, full of chaos, morally messy, which is like all Fallout games, and deeply weird. Bethesda's Fallout 3 was first person, it was cinematic, more mainstream, and it had Liam Neeson, because why not? I still don't know why Liam Neeson was in. They're just like, hey, you want to be in a video game? And he's like, why, yes, I do. That sounds more like Bane. I don't know. Anyways, they were two totally different versions. Bethesda didn't continue Van Buren, they didn't adapt it, and they didn't reference it. They basically locked it in a vault and said, we don't talk about that. Here's where the plot twists even more. Black Isle collapses. Bethesda buys Fallout. Van Buren dies. But many of the original Black Isle devs formed Obsidian Entertainment. And when Bethesda hired Obsidian to make Fallout New Vegas, the devs said, hey, what if we, borrowed some ideas from that game we weren't allowed to finish? And suddenly you have Caesar's Legion, the NCR conflict, the Southwest setting, the moral ambiguity, all of it started looking very familiar. Now, New Vegas isn't Van Buren, but it's the closest thing you will ever get. Now, why doesn't Bethesda talk about it? Bethesda doesn't hate Van Buren. They just don't benefit from acknowledging it. Because if they say, yeah, there was another Fallout 3 before ours, people start asking questions like, was it better? Why didn't you finish it? Can we have it? Can Obsidian make Fallout again? And you know the answer to all those questions. No, and no. Because Bethesda's PR team is allergic to all four of them. So Van Buren stays in the vault. Van Buren represents something rare, a version of Fallout that could have taken the series in a completely different direction. It's the ultimate what if in RPG history. Fans care because the idea was incredible, the tone was perfect, the world was huge, and the devs clearly loved the project. It's the gaming equivalent of finding out your favorite band recorded a whole album and then deleted it. You don't get over that. Even though Van Buren never released, it shaped Fallout in ways Bethesda probably wishes we'd stop pointing out. It influenced New Vegas, fan mods, tabletop RPGs, fan lore discussions, and every top 10 canceled game list ever made. It's a ghost that refuses to leave the franchise. And honestly, Fallout is better because of it. So that's the story of Van Buren, the Fallout game that almost was, should have been, and still lives in the hearts of RPG fans who love pain. If you enjoyed this dive into gaming history, hit like, drop a comment, and tell me which canceled game you still think about at 3 a.m. because you can't sleep, so you just lay there and you stare at the ceiling and you wonder, I wish this canceled game would have been made. Now I'm going to go play Kiln. Yes, it's a game where you play as pottery. I don't know. 2026 is weird. All right, bye.